Hello, good morning everybody. How we doing today? I have a pickup truck that's right behind me with some really bright LED lights, so we're gonna switch lanes so y'all don't have to stare at that and go really slow so he can pass me. How y'all doing this morning? Wanted to drop this quick video and talk to you guys a little bit about the power of a third-party tool. Third-party tools is something I was introduced to in sales. When I first got into sales, I was a grease monkey my whole life, turned the wrench for an honest pay, and I was perfectly fine with that. And then I was introduced to sales. I had a motorcycle accident, couldn't wrench for a while, and had no choice in the matter but to learn to do something else to make an income during my recovery time. So I got into sales, and I remember I was selling a high-ticket item for a high commission. It was a water ionizer by a company named Enagic. I'll shout them out. Anybody interested in drinking the world's best water, look up Kangen water by Enagic. Product placement there for y'all. Anyways, so I'm selling these Kangen water machines, and I would tell the guy, look, I'm not qualified to talk to people about this water stuff. They're not going to listen to me. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. He would say, don't worry, use me as a third-party tool. And that's the first time I heard that word mentioned. And I was like, third-party tool? You're a tool, a third party? Help me understand. So he breaks it down for me, and he says, listen, this is what you do. You talk to somebody, you let them know that you're enjoying the water, and then you edify me. And what you do is you tell them, oh, this guy, Jose, he's a nice guy. He introduced me to it. He's really knowledgeable. He's really passionate. He's the guy you want to talk to. He's the guy qualified to answer your questions. I'm the guy that's just excited that I've tried this, been introduced to this. So I would edify him with the person I'm talking to, and then I would connect him on a three-way call with Jose. So I would get my buddy Brian on the phone, and Brian might be in Missouri somewhere, and I might be telling Brian, I just started drinking this water and it's doing amazing things for me, right? And then Brian would say, well, I don't know, let me look into it. And I say, well, better yet, why don't you talk to my buddy Jose? He's really on fire about this. That guy is really knowledgeable. He really had so much to share with me. I'm edifying Jose. I'm building Jose up, not being dishonest, but in an honest way. I'm edifying him honestly. There's no snake oil in that. It's 100% integrity when you do it. But you're honest. Yeah, Jose was legit in the way he approached me. He seemed very knowledgeable. You know what? You got 2 minutes. Let me get you on the phone real quick with him. I'm going to three-way call him right now. I just need you to hear from his mouth because he's more qualified than me. So then Brian's like, all right, whatever. Three-way call. Jose's on the phone. Hey, Jose, I got Brian on the phone with me now. Here's Brian. Say hi, Brian.
Hi, Jose.
So Brian is on the phone. Now we got Brian on the phone with Jose, and Jose's like, hey, Brian, Danny's telling me you told him about the water. What did he say to you, Brian? And then Brian's going to say, well, he told me you introduced him, that you're very knowledgeable, that he's clearly excited about this, and I had more questions. Jose's going to say, great, I'm that guy. I'm here to answer your questions. What is it that you need answered? And then Jose is the more expert guy to answer those questions. So now Brian is looking at it as not something I just said. Brian is looking at it as something this other qualified person that's already been having success with it for a long time said, right? So Brian is now being introduced to the power of a third-party tool. So when I learned about this, I was very excited about it. I was like, third-party tool. This is pretty powerful stuff. I know where else I could be using this. And I started using the third-party tool with my son. Yes, my son. At the time, my son had come live with me. He had come live with me full time. And he has Asperger's. He's in the spectrum, and he was dealing with the rejection of knowing his mother chose another man over him, and that's why he was forced to come live with me. And I didn't know how to communicate to anyone with Asperger's in the same language, in a language that they would understand and have good, successful communication with him. I really wasn't qualified to really do that. And I'm trying to give this young man advice. He's my son. I love him dearly, but I needed help. So I thought, I put two and two together. I said, third-party tool. Let me do that. So Your kids will have influencers in their life, even if you don't want them to. Their influencer will be Spider-Man. It'll be Pokemon. It'll be Sonic the Hedgehog. It'll be Batman. It'll be the Avengers. It'll be whoever you allow them to. If you don't give them an influencer, they're just gonna go and find one on their own. They must all, especially young boys, even young girls, seek a role model, an influencer. So I knew he was seeking an influencer, a role model. I knew he looked at me as a father that he loved and respected, but he was looking far beyond the example of his father, not just to the example of his father. So I said, if he's going to look up to other people other than me, let me help him find who else he should be looking up to. So I introduced him to Tony Robbins. I introduced him to Les Brown. I introduced him to Zig Ziglar. I introduced him to my personal favorite, Jim Rohn. And these are people that are qualified to speak on topics and subjects that I knew he needed to be introduced to, subjects that I knew he needed to hear and listen to. So long story short, my friends, you got to have enough say and control to be able to introduce your son to the right people, your daughter to the right people. If you have a daughter, I'm speaking in the context of a boy because I speak of my own situations. I have a son. So my son, I introduced him to these things. Now, he was young. From the time he was 11, every morning on the way to school, I would put on a YouTube video, and I would use the power of a third-party tool. I would hit play in the car, set up the phone on a device like what I got it set up now, and it would be me and him sitting in the front seat, and I would hit play and let Tony Robbins talk to him, let Jim Rohn talk to him on the way to school in the morning. And I would ask him a question. Hey, did you hear what he said? Did you understand that? What did you think? Well, this is what I took from it. What did you take from it? That was pretty sick. Yeah, cool, awesome. So now he was getting out of the car, not just with some verbiage from his dad, not with just a dad speech on, you should do this, son, because dad knows best. Now it became more heavy on him because it was like, look, I really can't argue with this. This isn't just what dad's saying. This is what Jim Rohn's saying. So who's Jim Rohn? So when I introduce him to Jim Rohn, I say, look, this is why I listen to Jim Rohn, Daniel, and I just wanted to introduce you to who I'm listening to. I didn't say, oh, this is who you should listen to, Daniel, because it's not what you say, it's how you say it. I didn't say, Daniel, you need Jim Rohn. I said, I need Jim Rohn. This is why I need him. I'm your dad. You think I'm pretty cool, right? Yeah, well, as cool as you think I am, I need some Jim Rohn in the mornings, right? I start my morning with God. I read my Bible app, right? God first above anybody. He's the number one influencer. But this isn't a Sunday service, and I'm not here to preach to you. You're entitled to put first whatever you want to put first. But other than whoever you put first, whether it be Buddha or Allah or Jesus or you're just an atheist, whatever. But we all need an influencer. If you're a human being having this spiritual experience, right? Which I see the opposite. I see myself as a spirit having a human experience. But other people like to see it the other way, and I'm not one to twist your arm or convince anybody into anything. I just share from a point of light, from a point of love, why I think the way I think, and then you take what works from that and apply it how you see fit and ignore the rest. Put the rest in the trash can, because this isn't me spoon feeding you to eat what I'm trying to feed you. This is me sharing with love what has worked for me and my son. So every morning I'd put Jim Rohn on. Now he's listening to Jim Rohn, and it's like, look, this is why you should listen to Jim Rohn, because Jim Rohn has had success. Jim Rohn is a millionaire. Jim Rohn is an influencer. Look at Jim Rohn's platform that he built. Well, wait, you think Jim Rohn was born with all this? No, he was a poor boy raised in Iowa. He was in the country. He was a farm boy. He had no money. He was 25 and broke. Girl Scouts came knocking on his door asking him to buy Girl Scout cookies. He couldn't even pay his light bill. He didn't have money to buy the Girl Scout cookies. He wanted to buy cookies. The girl was sweet. She was adorable. He respected what she was doing. He had good intentions, but he didn't have the success to back up his good intentions. So Jim Rohn said, I need to find a mentor. He got a mentor. Mr. Schwartz was his mentor. So now Jim Rohn was the mentor to Tony Robbins. Jim Rohn was the mentor to Les Brown. Jim Rohn, they was known as the mentor to the mentors. That's why he's my favorite. The only other person Jim Rohn didn't mentor, which Jim Rohn could say was an equal or colleague, was Zig Ziglar. Zig Ziglar and Jim Rohn were pretty much in the same time. They were the fathers of personal development. If you're excited about personal development, you're like, oh man, I like it. I want to get into this. I need it more in my life. Well, he is the father of personal development. Him and Zig Ziglar are. So look at the two, see which one you like better out of the two. It's a personal preference thing. I love Zig Ziglar. He's an awesome guy, but I like Jim Rohn's humor more. I connect more with Jim Rohn's humor, the way he delivers his speech. So not to say Zig Ziglar wasn't funny, but I just connected personally more with Jim Rohn. So anyways, my son, to not bore you with a long video here, my son, bear with me as we come to an end, he was seeing that the person that was talking to him on the third-party tool on YouTube every morning on the way to school was a person of success. Was a person that had more success than his father, a bigger platform than his father, more influence than his father. He saw that his father was able to humbly say, you think I'm pretty cool, well, I need this person's mentorship. So we lead by example with our kids, and the example I was giving my son was, I need a mentor. So if I need one, guess what? So do you. At my age, I need an influencer, a positive influencer in my life. So I led by example, because kids don't do what you tell them. They do what they see you do consistently every day. So it wasn't like I was forcing it down his throat. It's like, look, this is what I do every morning. You come to live with me now, right? You don't live with your mom anymore. You live with your dad. Well, your dad needs this. He's kind of hurting in life. He's learning some things late. My dad didn't teach me these things when I was young. So I'm trying to play catch up right now. So every morning I hit play and I listen to the mentors, and they kind of guide me and nudge me and help my day get going in the right direction. You should listen with me if you want to. Make it an option. Let them decide. And then I would make it fun. Oh, did you hear what he said there? This guy's so funny. Yeah, man, I love that. I took that. That was my takeaway. What was yours? Oh, I like what he said here. Now we're having a discussion about it. Now I'm hearing from him what he's taking from it. I'm watching his growth. So what did all this? A third-party tool? What people look down on, what sounds so nasty in a sales environment. Oh, they're going to use a third-party tool on me? They're going to tool me? Yes, that's a good thing. You should be grateful that somebody's using a third-party tool ethically, honestly, to bless you with somebody else that has more knowledge, more experience in that area with them. If they didn't love you, if they didn't care about you, they would just try to sell you themselves. They would assume they have all the knowledge you need, as if they're doing you a disservice by introducing you to another person, another source with more knowledge and more experience than them. That should be something you should be grateful to them for. My son should be grateful to me that I wasn't an arrogant father that said, you know what? I have everything you need to learn in me. You don't need to learn nothing from these guys. Just shut up, sit there on the way to school and listen to what I have to say. Boy, if you want to have success. I believe things would have gone differently if I would have been that dad. I'm hoping somebody listening to this won't be that dad because they heard this. This isn't about somebody hitting like. This isn't about somebody subscribing. With all due respect, I give 2 cents if anybody even subscribes. Or drops a comment saying something nice. You know what? Leave a comment saying something mean. Don't leave a comment at all. Do whatever you got to do. What's really important about this video is that you take what works and apply it. Because knowledge is cool and all, but applied knowledge is the true power. A lot of us know what we need to do, but we're not doing it. We know we need to eat better, but we still eat crap. We know we need to go to bed early, but we still stay up late. It's not a lack of knowledge these days in the social media world where anybody like me can touch a button on their phone and jump on and drop a video to talk to the world, and it'll stay there forever in history. It's not a lack of, it's too much information. It's an overload of information, and too many people walking around with an overload of information and very little application of the extreme amount of information that they take in every day. So I don't care if this channel gets popular and blows up. I care that one person rewinds, hit pause, took a few notes on the things I said and says, I'm going to start with the implication of what I wrote down, with application of what I heard in this video. And I'm going to start seeing the results. Now, anytime somebody gives advice, it's because they're qualified to give it, or because they've seen firsthand the results of that advice they're giving in their own life. And I've seen the results in my own son's life, in my life. So you might say, I'm technically still not qualified to give this advice. And all I said is I'm sharing my own personal story, what I personally have seen and been through with my son. So I am qualified to do that. And I can tell you, I have seen the results firsthand in my son. People meet my son and they're like, man, your son's awesome. You're doing a great job with him. You're this. And I'm like, well, really, I can't take all the credit. I got to give some credit to Think and Grow Rich. I got to give some credit to How to Influence and Win Friends by Dale Carnegie. I got to give some credit to The Richest Man in Babylon. I got to give some credit to Les Brown, to Jim Rohn, to Zig Ziglar, to Tony Robbins. I got to give some credit where credit's due. That's what this video is. Giving credit where credit's due for the son I'm constantly being complimented on. You want to have a son, a daughter that you're constantly complimented on? Put your pride aside, understand, and apply the power of a third-party tool. It's not just meant for sales, it's meant for success in every relationship that you have in life. You value that relationship, bless that relationship with a third-party tool. This is my video. I'm going to check out until the next video. I don't hope y'all have a good day. I hope y'all make it a good day. Until the next video, God bless.